Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday, January 27th, 2016 Dudley Planning Board meeting. Present this evening, Thomas Holt, Vice Chairman, Marcia Wagner, Clerk of the Board, Mark Mazziotti, Member, myself, Guy Horn, Chairman. The first item on our agenda for this evening is going to be approval of meeting minutes from January 13th, 2016. They were sent out by Mrs. Gardecki about 2 weeks ago. I had a chance to review them. They looked good to me. I don't know if everybody else had a chance. I know, Marcia, you're looking at them now.
Good.
They look good to you?
Mm-hmm.
Could somebody please make a motion that we accept the minutes from January 2013, January 13th, 2016, excuse me.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the minutes from January 13th, 2016 as written.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous? Okay, item B on our agenda for this evening is Lions Estate subdivision proposed name change. I see Mr. Haynes is here.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Evening.
Mr. Horn, Chairman.
Yep.
It's great to be back in Dudley. I just wanted to let the board know, some of you do know, I'm the original owner of Lions Estate subdivision, which was owned by DHKJ LLC. I actually purchased the property back on December 30th, and under that purchase, all of the municipal lien certificates, which I'd like to show the board for taxes, everything has been paid.
Okay.
So if you'd like to see those, they're all registered.
It's okay.
I wanted to just, show the board the original deed from the closing, which was on the 30th.
Yep.
Kim was in on August 28th, 2015. You guys voted at that time to extend the covenant.
Yep.
So what I'd like to do is ask the board to keep this covenant in place and just do a name change because I'm the new owner.
All right, so we're going to keep the subdivision name as Lion Estates, and we're going to just change the DHKJ LLC. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
To David Haynes.
Just David Haynes? Is it an LLC or?
No,
it's just David Haynes?
In my name personally.
Okay. All right. So I don't believe that covenant was ever signed. We were waiting for the sale to go through. Once the sale went through, it would be signed. So what I can do is I'll, if it's all right with the rest of the board members, I think we could just, we've already voted on it. We could just instruct the town planner to rewrite the covenant in its original entirety with the exception of the name change.
Yep.
So we'll replace the DHKJ LLC with David Haynes.
Yep.
And then at the next meeting, he should have it ready, and we'll just sign it off then, and you can get a copy of it.
Great.
And that would need to get filed at the registry.
Okay.
All right.
All set.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Just kind of also as an informational session, and I brought just a copy of the front plan. This subdivision got approved in 2007,
Yep.
so it's kind of a long time ago.
Yep.
The market's kind of soft right now. We had gotten approval for 18 lots at that time. As a proposal to the board, would you guys consider phasing if we were able to, instead of putting in all 18 lots, to just do a few houses and then a couple more houses?
Yeah, we've done that at other subdivisions. The only requirement you would have to do is, let's say you did a 400-foot stretch of road.
Yep.
You'd have to put a temporary cul-de-sac in.
Okay.
And then once you were ready to do the next phase, you take that temporary cul-de-sac out and continue to the next phase.
Can I have that noted in the minutes also? Just,
That-
as an informational session?
That you would.
Because it's just, the challenge here with this property has always been,
Yeah.
the length of the
The
road.
road.
So I can, if that's, something that we can agree upon, I can go back to my engineer. Obviously it costs some money. and have them take a look at the plan to do phasing.
It might be something we could just add into the into the covenant.
Covenant.
Yeah, we could probably just add a footnote in the covenant that says that this project could be phased.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great to add that into the covenant.
It's all right.
Okay.
That's my other question.
Do you have an idea of how many phases you'd like to do? Out of the
I mean,
18?
there's 18 total lots, you know, so it just, the dynamics of the parcel itself, you know, when you look at the scope of it, on the right-hand side, there's a couple extra more lots, where on the left-hand side, there's the existing house has a, you know, a longer parcel. So, you know, again, the question was, would the board consider phasing this project? And the answer was yes. So if you don't mind, I'd like to have my engineer take a look at it to see kind of what makes sense, to do a temporary cul-de-sac. And then, you know, I can come back.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to come back to the next meeting anyhow.
Right.
So if I can get on the agenda for that, that would be great.
Okay.
Do you know when the date is on that?
It'd be the second Wednesday in February.
February 10th?
10th.
February 10th? Okay, so if I can get on the agenda for that night?
Yep.
Just so I can get the, you know, the covenant in my name, that would be great. And then have phasing put in, that would also be good. Just so that I know which direction we can go with this project.
Yep, those documents that you were speaking about earlier tonight, were those copies that you had?
Would you like to make copies? I didn't, if you want to see them.
If we could have a copy of it, that would be good.
Do you want me to bring copies that night, or?
Could you do that?
Sure, I will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would
Would you like to see them, just so?
That's okay.
Yes?
Yeah, bring them up,
Okay.
we'll take a look at them quick, and then if you could make copies,
Sure, I'll make copies for the board.
and then we can put them right into the folder for the project.
Okay. And I'll be doing the same thing with conservation. I know all the permits are, you know, that were expired, are all active now.
Okay,
So I'll be seeing conservation tomorrow night for a name change, and then I'll be seeing water and sewer next week.
right, and that subdivision did get both water and sewer approved?
Water and sewer were approved.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, I don't think that'll be a problem.
So there's a certificate number and everything. I had the attorney make sure that he did one
Yep.
for each parcel. You know, again, we're being taxed on each individual parcel, which
Parcel.
is, you know, rather expensive.
Right.
So I want to basically see what we can do with this project. It's been a long time.
Yep.
So I appreciate the board's consideration.
Okay. Yeah, so if you could, we'll give you those back tonight, if you can make copies and bring them back,
Okay.
and we'll put them in the folder
Sure,
with the
I'll
rest
do
of
that.
the
Thank you,
documents.
sir.
Okay. And is that everything?
That's it?
That's it? Okay.
Okay. Appreciate the board's time. Thank you very much.
Okay, next item on the agenda is public hearings. We have none this evening. After that, we'd have the planner's plate, and I have it enclosed in our document here, in our books. So basically, this is just some things that I'm going to go over that the planner would have did if he was here tonight, but I told him he can take the night off due to the light agenda. So basically, the new solar bylaw that has been worked on by the interim town planner and town council has been officially submitted to the Board of Selectmen for their action. That's the first item in our section C. And I think the next part of it is the actual text of the solar bylaw itself. And then going into his memorandum that he has towards the front of the book, I don't know if everybody has this or not. Activities from January 14th through January 27th. They've been continued to organizing and clean the planning board office, has had a whiteboard installed in the planner's office, ordered office supplies including new 3-ring binders for projects. They've received these already. They're working on the Patriot Finance reconciliation research. That's the That was an overdue bill from our consulting town engineer for the Patriot Gas project. That was a couple of years back. We're trying to reconcile that bill. He's began working on planning procedures manual. He showed this to me briefly when I was last in the office. This is, I believe, a 70 to 90-page document that he's done for another town. And every town's a little bit different, but more or less generally the same. The Massachusetts general laws are the same for all the towns. It's just some of the town laws that might change. So he's going through this entire document and updating it with whatever would need to be changed for the town of Dudley. So in the future, when we have a person, whether it be part-time or full-time, in the planning office, and whether that person is a very experienced planner or not such an experienced planner, there'll be a manual in place that will basically tell you all the steps required for each thing that would happen. Like, so if there's a major site plan review coming up, we'll give you the requirements for advertising this and the time frame in which the board has to act on the submission, all these different things for all the applications that we might receive.
That's great.
So that's, something we never had, so I thought that was a good thing. He's working on developing the warrant article and cover letter for the solar bylaw amendments, which is pretty much done. Organized the posting board. I think it's the one outside the office. He's obtained the abutters list for the Estabrook Solar Project. This would have to do with the vote in the open meeting law violation. Read zoning bylaw in full and made comments for future discussion. Sought assistance for email program. Basically, I don't know if everybody knows it, but I think for the last month they've had some serious problems with emails, especially in our office, so they're trying to figure out what's going on there and get it straightened out. And he's reviewed the proposed village district map. This would be for the West Main Street business corridor. And his one suggestion on this was extending it all the way to the Webster line. So some other comments here. Solar bylaw amendments. He started with Eric Smith's documents. Borrowed a warrant article from the town of Arlington and developed a proposed warrant article with the 3 elements: a summary of actions, proposed vote language, and detailed text changes. Gary Brackett's reviewed this. He thought it was better. He thought it was a better version than Eric's, but a copy is in our binders for review. So he goes into a little bit on the Patriot Gas invoice and financials. Presently, the invoice indicated that we owed $3,929.60. He breaks down what it was for. A review of checks received from Patriot Gas indicates that $4,456.95 have been received. Complete assessment. Situation, he's talking to Graves. Still will need some more time, but it looks like now we're more or less less than $400 off. So that's a much better situation than being $2,000 off. So he's looks like he's getting that rectified for us pretty quickly. He talked to me briefly about this Village Center bylaw project and going on a walk. He was thinking Tuesday, and I said, well, he wanted to know how many members of the board can make it, and I said, I don't know, I can't speak for everybody, but I said my guess would be probably only 1 or 2 at the most would be able to make it on a Tuesday. So I asked him if we couldn't maybe postpone this until like maybe the end of March or even the beginning of April and do it on a Saturday when more people could participate, and he thought that was fine too. So, but he did, in the discussion I had with him today briefly, he did think, in his opinion, that the village district, I explained to him that since we have rezoned West Main Street to Business 15. I've been approached by 2 different people saying that they appreciated it and they thought it was a much better zoning situation for them as landowners, and they had more abilities to utilize their land in different types of situations. But when I was talking to Chris today, he said that in his opinion, the village district would give landowners even more abilities to do more things with their property. Than it would include everything that we currently have in Business 15 plus more. So if that's the case, then I think that it's worthwhile looking into it if it gives the landowners more abilities. So he's got a presentation, I forgot from what town, I think he said it was from Upton, that he would be happy to show us. So maybe at one of the meetings in the future, if we don't have a lot of a heavy schedule, he could make that presentation for us. All right, I think that kind of wraps up the planner's stuff.
It's great, very detailed, and all good things.
Yep.
Things that have been needing to have happen.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, it was mentioned at the last planning board meeting, but the parking lot lighting upgrades for Nichols College at parking lot number N was reviewed and approved by Graves Engineering. We got a letter for the last meeting, so we forwarded the approval on to Nichols College. So that's been done. And I think the rest of it's just public notices from other towns. So the only other thing I wanted to touch on was Monday night, the 25th, I went to the Board of Selectmen's meeting and talked to them with what they would like to see for future planners. I mean, basically, we've got 5 months to figure out what we want to do for a new planner position and hire that person before the next fiscal year. So the 2 things that were basically discussed with the Board of Selectmen were they were in favor of a full-time person if we could combine it to almost into 3 jobs. They were looking for a person that could, if it was a full-time position, they would want someone that could do planning work, that could do economic development work, and they were intrigued, I think, by the idea of having a on-site or on-staff civil engineer. So they thought that those 3 duties combined would justify a full-time position. They want to see dollars and cents basically as to what it would cost and what the town has the potential of getting back and things like that. So I told them we'd put the proposals together. So I'll do that. I'm going to be on their next, not the next meeting, but so basically the end of February, the last Board of Selectmen meeting in February, I'll have those proposals for them. I'll also share them with you guys. The other proposal that they were looking at was having a part-time planner that could also do some economic development work. The issue with that is I think the only way it makes sense to have a part-time person is, the way I understand it, is if you work 20 hours or more per week, then you're considered eligible for benefits. And if we're going to pay the money for the benefits, it doesn't seem to make sense to have a person that's part-time, because the benefits cost almost as much as half of the salary. So it would have to be if we had a part-time planner, economic development person, it would have to be 19 hours or less, is the way I would be looking at it.
So how about an intern?
That's a possibility, or somebody that's semi-retired. The only other thing that I had thought of after the meeting was if there would be a possibility of getting another town, like when Nancy was here, she was working one day in Oxford. I could approach Oxford and see if they'd be interested in having a person at 50%. And we have a person at 50%, and then we would split the benefits if that's possible, because then it wouldn't be so expensive on the benefit side for us, and we'd end up getting somebody for maybe a little bit longer. So, that's the possibility. So that was what I was looking at going forward with putting together for some, there's going to be at least 2 proposals that I would give to the Board of Selectmen, possibly 3 if Oxford has interest. I honestly don't know of any other town that would be interested in partnering with us, but I'll talk to Oxford and see what they have to say.
I know that the town of Charlton's Planning Board and Economic Development work closely together. They're tightly linked, and find that it's really beneficial.
I think the other thing that I think that we would gain a little bit of benefit with having the engineer on staff is like when companies who are future prospects come to town to develop something, if you can look at a plan and make a determination in hours or days instead of weeks or days and weeks, having that person on staff would definitely be a benefit for the town and for expediting development procedures for people that are coming in if they're looking to move things quickly. And I know in some cases with grants and stuff like that, if they're looking to receive grants and stuff for things that they're going to build, if you have the ability to turn it around in, say, a 30-day window versus a 90-day window, it could be a big deal for somebody like that that's looking to develop something with a grant or something. So, but that's where we stand, and I think that we have to have have the proposals done by the end of. I'll have the proposals done by the end of February to give to the Board of Selectmen, and hopefully, I would think by the first week of March they could let us know what their preference is, and then we could have it at our first meeting in March and make a vote, and then instruct the personnel board to start advertising for whatever position we choose. The only other issue that I brought up to the Board of Selectmen was that I did go online and look at, there's an online job board, so to speak, for town planner jobs or municipal jobs in general. So I went on, found this job site, did a little research to see what was happening in the world of planners. So there was, at the time I looked, it was a few weeks back, it was 2 towns advertising for full-time planner positions. The town of Southborough, which I looked up, was a smaller town than Dudley, about 3/4 of the population and about 3/4 in land size, so it's smaller in both size and population. And then the other town was, I believe it was Westford, Massachusetts. And they were both advertising for a person with a master's degree, 3 to 5 years experience, and they were both offering the same salary range of $65,000 to $85,000 a year, which was a little bit shocking compared to what we had paid in the past. So I let the Board of Selectmen know about that. The other thing I looked up too was, because they had mentioned about someone working as an economic development person, there was one town, I forgot the name of the town, that they were advertising for a person with economic development committee background or knowledge and skills, and they were advertising for that person at the same rate as a full-time planner, $65,000 to $85,000 a year.
Wow.
So that was a little bit shocking. So we had to put together a draft budget for the department. So when I put in the amount for the planner, I increased the salary line item, which was previously, I believe, at $45,000 to $65,000. Because if we do go for a full-time person, we're going to have to be looking at least spending that much, probably more if we were looking for somebody that had a civil engineering degree. So I let the Board of Selectmen know about that on Monday night also.
Well, what is the average that we're paying for our engineering now?
Right now, we're paying, our engineer, I believe, charges us $150 an hour for his time, plus travel time, plus stuff like that, expenses, travel and expenses.
But what ends up happening is the developer pays that bill. However, there's a profit margin that we could actually realize.
Right. And we don't have to continuously charge $150 an hour too, because I've talked to a few engineering firms around, and it seems like we're getting a very good deal with Graves because we've had them for, I think it's been close to 6 or 7 years, and they haven't raised their prices. And right now, the going rate for engineering, depending on who you have and what type of work they're doing, is anywheres from $150 an hour to $350 an hour, depending on what you're getting done. So, you know, if we did have an engineer on staff, and we changed the engineering rate from $150 to $200 an hour, you know, let's just say an average major site plan review right now probably costs around $3,000 at $150 an hour, so that's 20 hours work. If you increase it to $200 an hour, now that major site plan review costs $4,000. It's not going to be that detrimental to somebody doing a new project, you know, a $1,000 increase.
Yeah.
And that $4,000 would then stay in the town. It wouldn't be dispersed back out to a consultant engineer. So,
Right, but we'll need to be paying the civil engineer wage
right.
when he's not doing site plans. So
Right.
that's just something to
Yeah. So I
consider.
did go back 9 years and take an average of what we had paid out in the last 9 years. So in the last 9 years, we've paid Graves Engineering a little over $140,000. So if you average that out per year, it's around $15,000 per year. So if you increase the amount that we were charging for engineering from $150 to $200 an hour, then that could increase that yearly.
$5,000.
Yeah, so it would go from 15 to 20,000. So if we were paying a civil engineer, say, an $80,000 a year salary, and we got $20,000 of that back, that's a $70,000 salary.
So the Southborough and Westford, were they looking for a planner / civil engineer?
No, they were just looking for planners,
So, yeah.
particularly what we had.
Even though Southborough may be smaller than Dudley, you know, it's right
They're
Right.
closer to Boston.
right
so
in
they-
Framing,
yeah.
right next to Framingham, a totally different atmosphere. And
Tax base, et cetera.
Yeah. So, but anyways, that's what I figured I would forward all that information on to you.
That's good. Good communication to them.
And then the last thing, I don't know, does anybody else have any other comments? Because I don't think we're going to get any comments from the audience tonight.
No.
No.
Well, I went to the quarterly CMRPC meeting 2 weeks ago, and the theme was complete streets. What they're trying to promote are streets within communities that will accommodate regular vehicles and public transportation, pedestrians and bicycles. So the towns that they're looking at, you know, have more of a need than I think Dudley does at this point. But that was their main theme.
Okay.
And I guess I earned some more time going.
Forward. Okay, that's good. Thank you. And the last thing that was not going to be on our agenda for this evening was an executive session, but I had gotten a note from the town planner that he was in contact with town council, and there's nothing to update us at this time, so I guess we will have to just postpone that until either the next meeting or when the town council notifies us that he has some more information to discuss. So, seeing that, if anybody would like to make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion to adjourn, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good night.